Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Music for a Book podcast from the Vault. We are your hosts. I'm Britt.
And I'm Hannah.
And we are bringing you a very special long story short episode that we are so excited for.
Finally.
Oh, finally. I'm so excited.
So we are talking today about the massively anticipated third book in the Empyrean Series, Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros.
Yes. So we are diving right into our thoughts about Onyx Storm because this is not a deep dive review episode. We are not experts on this book. We've read it one time. We just loved the series and wanted to yap about it and get all of our thoughts, theories, reactions, everything that we've been saying since we're back on social media in full force after trying to avoid spoilers like the plague. And also, too, there are so many incredible fantasy book podcasts that do deep dive reviews on series like the Empyrean Series and are currently doing Onyx Storm deep dives. Highly recommend you give them a follow for all things Empyrean content because it just, hats off to them, could not be us.
And because we're just yapping about our thoughts, we'll be covering all things Onyx Storm, Empyrean, Fourth Wing, Iron Flame. If you have not read any of these and you do not want to be spoiled, this is your warning. Back out now. Do not pass go. Run away far.
Yes.
Do not cross the parapet.
Do not cross the parapet. Please. All right. So you didn't think we'd get through in an episode without discussing song choices, did you? Obviously, we had to pick songs for Onyx Storm. And if you didn't know, Rebecca Yarros did put out a full Spotify playlist with songs that she listened to while she was writing it and songs that kind of inspired Onyx Storm. That terrified me. I shouldn't have listened to that prior to the release because I was so scared for what was to come. But
I know.
I ended up picking Lose Control by Teddy Swims because this whole book is about maintaining control. The way that becoming a venin is likened to an addiction almost and almost like a drug. So yeah, I was looking through all the songs and I was like, yeah, I have to pick this one.
I picked probably my hyperfixation favorite song right now, but Squabble Up by Kendrick Lamar. And
yeah,
we already said spoiler, even though it's not really a spoiler yet, but I think the song is great, but it's stuck in my head for the line of wake up looking for the broccoli. And because we love our, I'm not a cat person, but
I am.
Love a little broccoli.
Listen, when broccoli got handed over. I'm only not
because I'm allergic.
That's so fair. As an adult, I'm pretty sure I have adopted an allergy to cats, which is unfortunate because I do have 2 of them. So I just take allergy pills and hope for the best.
Yeah.
It's fine. Love broccoli. Love broccoli. So like we said, we're just going to be yapping. First, I think we should talk about, though, we actually went to a midnight release party of Onyx Storm, and we went to 2 Dandelions bookstore in Brighton, Michigan. And my goodness, was that just such a treat, such a fun experience. It felt like being thrown back to full nostalgia.
Yeah, I was going to say, it gave such midnight release vibes for all of the fun books that came out in our childhood.
Yes.
And so to do that again as an adult with making friends over it. Britt just crushed everybody in trivia. You were just throwing out things, and I was like, okay, yep, I agree with you. Yep, that sounds right.
Listen, the one question I'm so, they almost were it was a trick question, so we'll throw it away. I said, don't throw it away. I got it right. What was the name of Violet Sworngale's dad?
Yeah, because we didn't know.
It's unknown. We didn't know. And now we do know. And there's a lot going on. But shout out to that. Also, support your local indie bookstores. We shop, sometimes we have to shop on Amazon. We shop Barnes & Noble. We shop these big retailers. But whenever possible, we love to support our indie bookstores. There's one by me, Brooks Books and Wyandotte, that I use through Libro.fm. So when I get my credits there, it supports them as an indie bookstore. And also what was so cool at our release party, because we partnered with indie booksellers on Libro, we got the audiobook for free on top of the book.
Which is awesome.
Incredible.
And so real quick, the funniest thing I think that happened there though, is I was just standing off to the side because I was overheating. I was holding Britt's coat. I had my coat. I had all of our stuff. And I was like, I'm just going to stand over to the side while Britt checks out and buys some cool things.
Yeah.
And then somebody's like, oh, where's the line? And they're like, right behind you. And I was first in line for the books.
Yeah.
Accidentally.
It was accidental.
It was just perfect.
Love to see it. But yeah, I had to shout that out. It was just such a fun time. If you guys went to any of the midnight release parties, let us know in little Spotify comments or on socials. Would love to hear more about that. Let's start yapping. We did kind of structure this a little bit, but let's be honest, we're going to get fully off track here any minute now. This book has had the most mixed bag public reaction that I've seen. And I know that Iron Flame had some mixed reactions, but this has like a very polarizing thing. People were like super, super disappointed by it. So we're just warning you guys now that like, if you didn't vibe with Onyx Storm, unfortunately, this is not the episode for you. We both fucking loved this book. Like,
yeah, because I feel like, so relate everything back to Sarah J. Maas because I just can't help it.
Absolutely.
But with like Crescent City 3, like I knew that it wasn't great and I still enjoyed it. But I could like accept the criticism.
Yeah.
This book, I understand I'll let people, you know, have their opinions, but I think where it was in the series made so much sense.
Yes.
I enjoyed it. I was along for the ride. I could not put it down.
I don't know if it was like the fact that I went full passenger princess with this book, or if it was just the fact that like I really tried to quell any and all expectations. I think that this suffered from a ho-fast situation where the theories were like the theories were so heavy and the expectations were so high that like we are not the authors of the series. And while we can have some incredible theories, these theories might not tie to a thread that she knows she's plotting out through book 5. And like, some things we can be right about. There were a couple of things that Hannah and I were right about that we never talked about on the podcast, but we've talked about together. And just like, I don't know, some people call this a filler book. And I was so confused because like, technically, yes, it is a filler because we're expanding the world beyond Navarre, beyond Tyrandor, beyond these, you know, the lines that have been drawn through Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. But like, we learned so much lore, history, political intrigue, more information about the gods, the Irid. Oh, we learned so much in this book. And the one criticism that I do feel like I understand why people feel that way is the confusion with all of the characters. Like, I can definitely see why people might be confused. But like, I think that if you just like stepped back for a second and like recentered yourself, this was a book that I wanted to devour and I wanted to read in 24 hours, but I actually read it over the span of a week. And I think that helped. Like, I think that like slowing down and intentionally taking everything in helped me understand everything a lot better.
Agreed. I was just looking because I read it on my Kindle. So I was just re-looking at like the map and like the name and the dragons and everything. Because there's a guy. Like the list right there. And like Quinn is number 2 in there. Above Ree. Like, so when people are like, who's Quinn? I'm like, how do you not know who Quinn
people
is?
Are like, who's Quinn? Someone said, I saw people say, now again, I'm not trying to shit on people. I don't have specifics to call you out. But if you didn't know who Quinn and Sloane were, I'm afraid that you just didn't comprehend Iron Flame.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's okay. I just think that this suffered from people, like their theories were far too extravagant for what this actually was supposed to be. We have 2 more books in the series. I saw some people say that they thought this was the last book in a trilogy.
Yeah.
And apparently there were some rumors that Rebecca said it was supposed to be 3 books. I've seen from the beginning that she always said she had it slated for 5. So there might have been some miscommunication. She could have said that before and then changed it. I don't think this series is being milked. I don't think that we could have had a resolution in 3 books for everything that's happening.
Especially for how Iron Flame ended.
Correct.
Like, so this would have been like a book like, oh, we get the cure. Zayden's happy. Okay, that's over.
Right.
100 pages done.
Yeah. And we don't know anything about the Empyrean still. We don't know anything.
No, it's literally the Empyrean series.
Yes. Yes.
I can't. That word is very hard for me to say, but it's okay.
Fine. That's fine. Yeah. Basically, in my opinion, I love this book. I think the rereadability is so high. I can't wait. I'm definitely going to do it on audio to like absorb it all again because I think there are so many clues, so many things. And I just had a blast with it. Also, did anything surprise you in this book that like you were not expecting at all?
A little bit with her being dedicated to Dune.
Yes.
Dune. I went to school with somebody's last name was spelled that way and it was Dunn.
Okay.
So like
yeah.
I have to think about that.
Yeah.
But that she like was dedicated to her, because I remember us talking about it and I like was throwing like random theories out there and I was like, she's a god. And so like for her to be dedicated to it, that kind of surprised me, like that route. But
yeah, I'm actually going to tie this down to some of the like the theories because I feel like we're just going to end up bumping around here. Emma Hallbrook on TikTok. I watched a ton of her videos. She has so many Onyx Storm theories. She tabbed the shit out of this book. Love this journey for her. But tying it back to the gods, she suggests that Violet is also tied to Malik, which is what we thought originally. Maybe Violet was also dedicated to Malik, but we thought after the end of Iron Flame. So we read it. I came home from Florida and we met up to like plan for the podcast and ended up only talking about Iron Flame for like 2 straight hours. And one of our theories was that Violet is tied to the gods Malik specifically. And Emma Hallbrook brought up that the word soul is used a lot through Iron Flame. And Liam's projection, while Violet was being interrogated, said that maybe Malik sent him as a, quote, kindness, and that he doesn't just let souls wander. And then Xaden's consistently referring to his soul and like how he's not himself anymore. But toward the end, he says Violet has his soul now. And so like Malik is like collecting these souls. And Dune, on the opposite hand, it's like Violet has like the balance of both gods with her.
yeah.
So very interested to see what comes out of that.
What about for you? Surprising you wise?
Oh yeah, when the Irids just popped up, they were like, "Hey,
yeah, this
it's
mysterious
us.
island that wasn't on the map.
Hi." I just saw something else on TikTok. I'm trying to remember. Like, I was just reading a bunch of comments, so if I forget to quote where this originated or anything like that, so sorry. But I've been in the trenches of these like theories for weeks now. But someone was like, if Traeger wouldn't have gotten the arrow and they wouldn't have taken his body to that isle, that like the dumb luck of, I think it's Zional or Z.
I think so. We haven't listened to it yet.
Yeah, I can't remember. I've been listening to like people discuss it, but because it's luck. And so like the god of luck. So without that luck, the Irids might not have shown up. And I know that the Irids chose to reveal themselves, but I think it's very interesting that they chose to reveal themselves on the specific island where they went to take Traeger and to burn his body and commend his soul to Malik. But again, commending his soul to Malik, and Malik doesn't let souls wander. I don't know. I think that the gods are going to play a really big role. I've seen people tossing around the idea that the original 6, I'm talking like hockey terms now, that the first 6.
I think about that though too. So
we're not doing an original 6 matchup here, but the first 6 are tied to the gods or tied to the Venin in like a very deep way, because Lyra, it's implied, was the only first 6 that didn't turn. So curious. But yeah, when the Irids just showed up and they were like, hey, and then Indar was like, oh my god, my people. They were
and
like,
then just spills her life story.
I love her so much. But then when they were like, we reject you, and she's like, what? My heart for that. Oh, poor Indarna.
I know.
Poor Indarna.
Baby girl.
I know. Okay. Can we talk about the star of the show of this book, though? Can we talk about our man, Ridoc? Because this man, like, I've loved Ridoc from the first time he was on the page, but this book, he really shined.
Oh my gosh. His, like, one-liners and just, like, his love for his squad. You know, like, you can just tell, like, how he's been developing his Signet to do different things and so excited to show Violet, and how he's just, like, so worried about her, too. Like, how when Violet finally told him about Xaden.
Yeah.
And he was like, finally, like, everybody that knows will choose him. Like, you need somebody that'll choose you. And I'm like, my boy.
I love him. I did also quote that I may be a second year, but I fuck like a third, because that I was like, oh my God. So good. But also, however, during his speech about how, like, I can be serious and I need to be taken seriously just because I joke around a lot and all this stuff, there was something about it. I feel like he maybe has a little bit more information. I think he could be hiding something. I think that he might have more that meets the eye that we don't know about yet.
That's
not in like a betrayal type of way, but I think that he might just have
almost in like an arc type of way that, like,
yes,
you know, just I'm gonna withhold information until it's necessary.
Dude, when Ark was letting them just fucking struggle at every aisle with,
but then
Dain,
he's like, just why else would Dain come along?
Okay, but then I saw something somewhere. I'm so sorry that I did not write down who I saw any of this stuff from. But someone was like, he definitely saw that, like, Dain was needed for something, which is why he didn't interfere. But someone said, well, Dain got slapped in Xynol, but Dain's signet works by touch. So do we think that when he got slapped, he got information somehow?
Didn't even think about that.
Because he just got bitch slapped, and like that could have just been like a thank you. But I feel like there's something.
Yeah.
Something there. Also, let's just segue right into Dain then.
Yeah.
Because if you've read Throne of Glass, you know that there is a polarizing character. And we are apologists for the polarizing character. So it's no surprise that we are also Dain apologists.
Yeah.
You guys, I feel like he redeemed himself in Iron Flame. Like he was on his redemption arc. And people are like, oh, he finally redeemed himself in Iron Storm. He finally redeemed himself in Onyx Storm, finally. And I was like, finally? He's been redeemed for a while.
Yeah.
But like, he fully came around now.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was worried about him. Like, when they were going to go get her father's journals from his dad's office, I was like, oh my gosh, he's not going to get them. Like, this is it. Like, because I saw somebody compare him to Kale.
Yeah.
And I was like, crap, like, what is he going to do? What is he going to do?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I guess he already had his Kale moment. He's fine.
Yeah. I think that Dain is going to have a very, very significant role moving forward. Also, did we catch that romantic tension between him and Sloan?
Yes, we did.
First, what was it? Like Eyes on Me or something like that?
Yeah.
And I was like, Dain Ados? Excuse the fuck out of me?
I know.
But with that, Sloan said, you shouldn't have that much power. You shouldn't have, where's my Kindle? You shouldn't have that much power.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull that up.
Yeah. Another thing, speaking of power, I know this is kind of just like out of left field, but I did get reminded of a quote from Jack Barlow.
Ooh, fucking Jack Barlow.
Yeah. And he said, I'm told it so will be found and raised by an elder, usually a sage, like the connection between them or whatever, right? And he's like, initiates, we're all traceable to one another, but the Great Hall could be filled with sages and mavens, and I never know, neither would you. So like we'll go back to like the where that connects into the venom, but like it just makes me think of like, oh, you shouldn't have that much power, Dain. Like, how many sages and mavens are like hidden in plain sight?
Okay, here we go. It is chapter 59 in the Kindle. It's on page 683. I think why is my font so fucking big on this? What was I doing? Okay, that's like, I still read with my font large, but like not that large. Sloan wraps her fingers around Dain's wrist. Her eyes flare and she swallows. Someone like you shouldn't have this much power. And Dain says, good thing for Mira, I do. Put the other hand anywhere his skin is exposed.
Like, why shouldn't, like, how much power does he have that he shouldn't be having it?
Correct. And then back to the theories, Melissa, thank you, Melissa from TikTok. I don't know who you are, but your name is Melissa, said, compass is mentioned one other time in Fourth Wing because on the island of Xynol,
Zyrtec.
Island.
Zoloft.
The Luck Island, it's mentioned one other time in Fourth Wing, and it's because Dain has a compass patch that has to do with his signet being classified. And when Sloane said, someone like you shouldn't have this much power, I was like, why does he have so much power? But I do remember him saying, I can't remember if it was in Fourth Wing or Iron Flame, that Cath channels a large amount of power, like more than usual through him, but that I have questions. And also, Fantasy Fangirls, they're an incredible deep dive podcast. They're on Empyrean right now. The research that they do, the amount of work that they do is truly incredible. Like, they are top of their game. But they got to interview Rebecca Yarros at her last book tour. What am I saying? Book tour in Colorado at her hometown. And they were talking about like the way, like why Kaori's records might be wrong. Why, like, is it Kaori? I think it might be. But like why the records could be like incorrect, right? And she said, like, who says the Empyrean is telling the truth about who they are? Because the dragons tell the riders a dragon name, and then they tell the scribes to record it into history. So I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
So there's a theory that dragons are specifically seeking out like their bloodline and bonding with riders from their bloodline, masking who they are. Because if you guys remember, I think this was talked about in Fourth Wing, I'm pretty sure. But if a rider is bonded to a dragon that is their direct descendants of, they either develop a second signet, like Xaddy, or they lose their mind and go off the wall. So it makes me wonder, is Cath bonded to Dain? Does Dain have more to him than we think? Now, I don't want to go second signet crazy, because I think that like if like we're Oprah Winfreying second signets here, like it kind of loses like, you know, the edge to it. But it does make me wonder about Dain. I think there's something going on there.
Yeah. No, I definitely think there's more to these dragons. And like I feel like a lot more about the gods in this book.
Yes.
But I want more about the dragons. So I feel like somehow they have to connect.
I think they have to. Like the way that the Irids, this was another kind of theory from Emma Hallbrook on TikTok again. Basically, she said that the Venin are a product of the Irids, meaning that like that was part of like a creation that they made, which is why they could be part of their destruction as well. You know, she suggested maybe as a punishment for how the Empyrean and the other 6 dragon dens have behaved, or like an accidental like balance of power to the world, because Irids are considered just pure magic. But there's something about the Irids that like doesn't quite sit right with me.
Yeah.
There's something about them, the way that they handle themselves, the like quote unquote peaceful lives that they live. And yet they like let their feathertail hatchlings just like sit with the Empyrean and hope that like an adolescent is going to change the entirety of like a thinking, like a cultural system and belief system of 6 dens of dragons. Like something about that doesn't add up.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was just looking at the map though too, and
Yes.
like it's just of the continent. And I think it's interesting that we got the actual name of the continent too, like when they started to go to these islands, and like Violet picked up on it, like, wait a second.
Yeah.
If all of these islands are for a different god, like what's our god? And so I thought that was interesting that Emerales, right? Or something like
yes, something along those lines.
Emerales or something.
Yeah.
But I think that's really interesting. And that's like, I just feel like there's so much we don't know.
Yes. I think that was also where people got upset, was that we have more questions than answers. But like, I kind of expected that.
Like, I'm not upset about it, but I'm like, okay, come on. Like, I understand that we're not going to get another book for a while, but I need this book, like, now.
Correct. Like, Rebecca, please take care of yourself and take your time and, you know, be safe, but also, like, give me a book. No.
Yeah. Give me something.
You will be kind and patient. Please.
But speaking of signets.
Yes.
Dream walking?
Guys, you're not going to believe us, but guess who guessed Violet's second signet? We did. We were like, Iron Flame finished, and we were sitting. I vividly remember this. Hannah had just moved back to Michigan. We were in their like temporary housing, and we're sitting down. We're yapping. We made like some chicken cordon bleu or something. I don't remember.
Pierogies, I think.
Yes.
Or something. Yep.
And we were talking, and we looked at each other. We were like, her second signet, like, she said it's here in Iron Flame. Like, we got to figure it out. And then I was like, wait a minute. Like, we were kind of like, why are Xaden and Violet having the same dreams? Like, that doesn't make sense. Because Violet was having like a visceral reaction to these dreams. Like, something felt wrong about them. Oh, come to find out, she's in Xaden's dreams.
Yeah.
So, like, we both thought, like, we would have loved, like, a really crazy second signet and all this stuff. However, another, like, question that was answered on tour, Rebecca said that we've seen, like, 80 to 90% of what her signet from Taryn can do, wielding pure power. We've seen about 10% of what her dream walking signet can do. And I think it's going to be less dream walking, more like mind walking.
Yeah.
Do you remember when they were talking, like, to the Irids on the first one, and they were talking to Andarna, and they were like, we can't believe you gave her that signet. We can't believe you did that. And they talked about Andarna stopping time. Because Andarna was just like, look at all this stuff I did. Look at all the people I saved.
She's so cute. Yeah.
I know. And I imagine these like very like mystical, for some reason they looked like rainbow fish in my head, like the book.
Yeah. Same.
So I'm just imagining this like cutesy little like toothless style rainbow fish dragon, even though I know that's not what happened. But like, she's so excited, and they're like horrified by what Andarna is telling them. Like, that she stopped time, she did all this stuff. But the fact that they were like, why would you give her this?
Yeah.
That's like, I mean, come on.
Like, so this is like a big deal.
Yes.
And just like even the interaction she has, like Berwyn definitely is a dream walker. Like, because he was interacting with her.
Yes. And like, he was
dream
choking Xaden. And when Xaden got up, he was like, actually struggling for breath. But that makes me think that Violet will be able to do those things. But Rebecca said too, there's only one other person in the world, on the continent, wherever, that has this ability. And it has to be that sage. Right. It has to be Berwyn. There's just something about, I'm so excited to see what comes of her power. So excited. Also, real quick, just back to Andarna, can we just talk about when like they broke their bond? When Violet was like rotting in bed and no one could get through to her. My heart, like, the whole book, I was like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. And I got there and I was like, what the fuck?
Well, it's like, okay, we thought we almost lost Ridoc, right?
Yeah.
We like thought he got stabbed.
When he got stabbed in the kitchen, I was like, Rebecca, no.
Right? And then Traeger dying, but his Griffin was like even sadder. Like, that was so sad. That broke my heart. I cried.
Yes.
And then the bond breaking between Violet and Darnell, I'm like, what? Okay. 3 strikes. 3 strikes. And then we get a fourth one. One is freaking Mira getting her throat slashed.
Okay. Listen, for some reason, I did not look at like what percent I was at. I thought that was going to be like the end of the book.
Yeah.
I was like, so
I was prepared okay, like, this is happening. This is happening. Like,
Yeah.
it's done. Because it would have made sense. I would have been like, I would have accepted it.
Yes.
I'm glad it didn't, because I feel like Mira's hiding a lot and has not told Violet half the shit that went on with their grandma and all that stuff that she knows.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the fifth one is freaking Quinn.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
And I guess the sixth one is now Violet doesn't have her memories for the last few hours. So there's those things that just all break my heart, Rebecca thinks.
That was, I mean, I know that was, people are like, do you think that was intentional? Yeah. Yeah. Guys, I don't want to, I'm trying to not be like, did anyone think when they read this book? But like, some of the things that I see posed, I'm like, did you guys think while reading this book? Because like, obviously it's done to protect her from whatever Xaden did, or to like make sure that she doesn't know plans that she can protect Tyrandor, that she can protect.
Yep.
Like,
I do like the theory though that I saw that like Dain might be able to help her retrieve her memories, like when the time is right. So like if she has to like testify or go through anything, like she can't say it, but then Dain will help her. Like remember those like somehow. So
yeah. I am curious to see, so when the first six were together, they had, you know, these incredibly powerful signets that only walked together that one time. So obviously we're building to the six that will walk together this one time. The lightning wielder, the shadow wielder, I think Dain's going to be in that somehow, if not directly in the six, but like assisting with it. Garrick, a distance wielder. Auric, because Melgren can see the outcome of battles. But Melgren can't see the outcome of battles if 3 or more marked ones are together.
Yeah.
But Auric can see everything. It's what it seems.
I wish like this little guide here like told me what type of dragons they had.
Oh, yeah. I actually think, hold on. I'm going to pull up. Thank you, Fantasy Fangirls, for everything that you do for us.
Because, like, could we pick the 6, like, who...
Oh, they each have a
fired the word
dragon.
Stone. You know, like, who do we have so far?
So we have, Auric has a blue club tail. Quinn has a green scorpion tail. Rhiannon, it's said both ways in the audiobook. Rhi has a green dagger tail. Ridoc has a brown sword tail. Sawyer has a red sword tail. Imogen has an orange dagger tail. Violet obviously has a black morningstar tail and a feather tail. Bodhi, it just says bonded to green. Dain has a red sword tail. Brennan has an orange dagger tail. Garrick has a brown scorpion tail. Xaden, obviously blue dagger tail. Mira has a green club tail. And then there's a couple of professors listed on here. But
okay, interesting.
Yeah. This is a guide that Fantasy Fangirls put out, and it's a spoiler-free character guide. All of the bonded dragons, the bonded griffin riders, their ranks, years, all of that fun stuff. So incredible. But yeah, I think that there's going to be
because we have somebody like black, blue, red, orange, green, brown, and Irid.
Yeah, there's something with that. I don't know. I think that we haven't seen the last of, like, obviously Colonel Ados. I think that's going to come back. I think some of the professors are going to be revealed. Obviously Panchak was revealed to be working with the Venet, which not cool. Panchak, not fucking cool. Heck? Oh my God. The one scene too that I thought was insane was when Grady was like leading them on this wild goose chase, right? And they're there in Aura, the worst person ever. But she gets speared through, and Grady dies. And also too, when she the fire wielder panicked and set fire to everything, I'm like, oh my God, I hate you even more. Oh my God, you're the worst. And then she gets speared, and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I can hate her a little less now.
Yeah.
Yikes. But like, there's so many things, like so many details of this book that I'm like, oh, I can't wait to sink my teeth back into it and revisit everything. But yeah, there's going to be so much more about Navarre and the Navarian people in power, about Biscayas. I think there's going to be so much more about leadership that we find out who's been working for the Venom on the back end of things. But I also think that there are dragons involved in that.
Yeah. No, I think so too. But speaking of like Navarre and like the people in power, let's talk about. So I called her Theophine the whole time, and I know that's not it, but it's like Stephanie, right? But Theophany.
Theophany.
Theophany, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what I called her, but it's fine.
Theophany.
That she was basically in response to General Sorrengail. Like once Violet realizes that she's not a lightning wielder, that she's like storm weather, and I was like, so like just that counterbalance I thought was really interesting about the people like in power and Navarre with the Venom.
Dude, there's so much. Oh my God, there's so much. We haven't even touched on our shadow Xaddy. Like, we have not talked about Xaden. This book, I've seen people say it, and I fully agree. This book was Xaden's love letter to Violet. Like, because he knew that, like, he was fucked. And no matter how much Violet was like, I'm going to save you. He just knew. So I feel like he gave her everything that she needed in this. And one of my favorite scenes in this whole book is when he's just like happy and at peace on the Isles because he can't channel magic. He doesn't have the temptation. And I mentioned it earlier, but like the way that becoming a Venom and the crave for power is likened to an addiction, almost like a drug situation, I thought was handled really, really well. But my favorite is when everyone is just like, is he okay? Like, why is he smiling?
Yeah.
What's wrong with him? Someone send help. Like, I don't know. Or when like the Irids, when his eyes turned red for like the briefest of seconds and the Irids were like, blasphemy. Like, there's just, I don't know. But like, man, he really went for it. And I was so worried after his thumbprints burned into the wood that first time that he was going to channel from Violet.
Yeah. He still could. Who knows?
He still could.
But I like when they were on the island. It was the first one, and he's like introduces Violet as his consort to get through. And Taryn's response, I was just looking at my highlights, is are congratulations or commiserations in order? Like, okay, Taryn. Sassy as always.
I put that quote, where is it? Oh,
did you put it in?
Yeah, and consort, I whisper, we aren't married. He fucking smirks. I've noticed, but girlfriend is missing that permanent tone. Same thing too, like when Xaden says lifetime, anything less is unacceptable in front of the, is that Solarium? Anything less is unacceptable. Xaden slides his hand to the back of my neck, and her full name for the papers is Violet Sorrengail, 2 R's. Just his unwavering, undying commitment to her.
Yeah, I'm going to say this on air.
Do it.
I think he overtook Reese. I think Xaden is top tier now.
I can't believe you're saying that because I firmly believe that.
I can't either.
You know, Reese is not my number one.
I know, but he's been my number one.
He has been. I love Xaden so much.
I feel like Xaden is so much more morally gray, but not.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Yes. I know what you mean. Like, he fights for what he believes in and he wants what's best, but he will do anything he can to protect his people and what he believes in, even just if it burns everyone else.
Yeah, because even like the sage said, you'll turn for love. And what did he do?
Dude, we're going to talk about that in a minute here because that's going to be a whole thing. But speaking of that, though, there was I put it in here. There was a TikTok, I think you sent it to me or I sent it to you. Someone said, Xaden didn't turn fully to protect Violet. He turned fully to protect his number one, Sigale. When he fully channeled from the earth, it was to protect Sigale. It was not for Violet. Violet was not there.
Yeah, because even when he describes, like, I forget, like, where it is in the book, right? When he describes about, like, the first person to take a chance on him. And it's like, you think it's Violet, but it's really
Sigale.
His dragon. Like, which I think is, like, so special, too, though.
When Sigale was in the nets, I horrified I couldn't. And then Taryn got hurt one too many times for comfort in this book. I'm scared.
Yeah, that was not okay. And then, but can we talk about Sigel coming and like rescuing Violet? Like I'm not, but he can, or whatever she says.
Yes. Yep. Just so good. But real quick, let's talk about, because we're gonna knock this one out quick. Halden. Halden in the fucking basket.
Oh my gosh.
Thinking of the arrogant, cocky prince having to fly in a little tiny basket really just like set me over the edge.
I know. So funny. And I think it was perfect time for like Ark to come out and be like, hey, it's me, Cam, your brother. Haha.
Hi. It's me. We knew that Halden was her ex. That's something that we talked about. We thought for sure that she had like fucked around with the royalty situation. Yeah. At first in Iron Flame, when Ark was introduced, I thought it was him. But after their relationship developed, I was like, no, it's definitely his brother.
Yep, 100%.
So when that showed up, I like that we kind of got to see jealous Xaden, because we had jealous Violet over Cat, you know, and that whole thing. I hope Cat finds happiness. I hope Cat ends up with someone like her when Traeger was gone. Like, that broke my heart, because I don't like her as a character, but I don't like her, but I enjoy reading about her. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. I am interested too, because we definitely got a bit of the Griffin Flyers, like with the Quest Squad, but I am curious how they're going to fit into the big picture of defeating the Venom.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And like how they fit with the Empyrean, like where...
Well, and especially because like the Empyrean are deciding to work alongside them. But again, we don't know how correct the Empyrean are.
Yeah. I did have a wild theory, though, when I was like in chapter 23. No, I texted you.
Oh, yeah,
because Violet made a comment about like needing to be somewhere, and Mira replies back to her and is like, you can't be in two places at once. And Violet's like, right. And so I had this wild theory that I texted Britt. I was like, Violet's going to be a twin because of that one correspondence I was like, of our daughters, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's going to be a twin. But then it turns out it was like her and Ree were like the two places in once.
Yeah.
At the end. And I'm like, okay, fine, Hannah. That's not your not a theory to stand on. But hey, if that comes true,
listen,
you heard it out there first.
It's, I did quote a couple of those like correspondence. And the first was, and if her first two liaisons are any indication of what we might expect, God's help her, my love, I'm afraid our daughter has atrocious taste in men.
Yes.
Love that. And then recovered correspondence of Lieutenant Colonel Asher Sorengale to Violet Sorengale. And Asher Daxton took on the Sorengale name from Lilith. So that's where I think people were a little confused. But it just says, my brightest light, I meant to prepare you, but only had time for half the lessons you need, half the history, half the truth. And now time runs short. I failed Brennan the day I watched him walk the parapet, failed Mira when I could not stop her from following, but I fear my death will fail you. Your mother and I trust no one, and neither can you. I mean, her dad, I don't think that her dad is alive, because I'm pretty sure this has been talked about before. I don't believe her dad is actually alive. I do believe that there are strong ties to the Venom from her dad or her mom. However, there's been notes. I actually want to look up Amber in here.
Oh, yeah, the eyes.
So she said, we are no longer gold-flecked Onyx, you guys. We're no longer gold-flecked Onyx.
No, we're not. I did not hear that.
We have Amber Flex. Amber. And I'm pretty sure, I'm just going to whip out Iron Flame real quick here and search up Amber. I think Amber is also said to refer to Brennan's eyes.
And her dad's too, I think, right?
And her dad's. Here we go. Iron Flame, chapter 2, page 29 on my Kindle. She's talking to Brennan because she said a corner of Brennan's mouth lifts. So she's talking to him. And they're talking about how Marp had been wounded, but he was alive. There were other dragons, stuff like that. And it says, his amber-colored eyes meet mine. his amber-colored eyes meet mine. And also, Xaddy says, when I do sleep, I dream of the sounds. Well, okay, well, great. I dream of the sounds you make right before you come. Welcome. And the way the blue in your eyes outshines the amber right after. Okay, those were the only two mentions of eyes, amber eyes in Iron Flame. There's something to that, though, I think. I think there's something to that. And if we want to, we can now spiral about Brennan. Because I've
been spiraling about Brennan since the end of Fourth Wing.
Agreed.
Okay.
Hard agree. Hard agree. I want to talk about the rune.
Mm-hmm. Not Rune Dain.
Not Rune Dain, Crown Prince of the Vilbarn Fae.
No, but these runes. But side note about the runes.
Brennan knew three things with absolute certainty?
No, but Xaddy definitely does. But speaking of runes, though, I thought it was interesting that thing I sent you that was like the reason why like we're confused about runes is because Violet's confused about runes.
Yes.
And I was like, yep, that makes sense. Okay, fair.
Yes. Yes. Because and they were like, Violet's so smart. Why can't she get runes? And it's because her power source is different than everyone else.
And that's when Quinn helped her. I was like, aw, thanks, Q.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Brennan, his rune on his hand.
Okay. So when they were channeling, when Sloane was siphoning power from Dain and Brennan to heal Mira, Violet has this thought that like, okay, a spot is going to appear where they're being siphoned from, because it's believed that Brennan's rune is the product of when Naolin resurrected him before he died. Naolin and Brennan, to me, 1,000% were lovers. Like they were together. No one can convince me otherwise.
I saw a theory that was different.
Oh, okay. What was that?
You want to talk about it now?
Might as well.
That Naolin was actually their grandfather because of Taryn's age. Like, so that he would have bonded Naolin, like, when he was, like, younger. Because Taryn's old, right? So it's like, if Naolin was the same age as Brennan,
other rider.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so that's why Violet has the second signet, too. Like,
Not
and Darna.
Yeah.
I mean, could be. Or, like, the stronger one. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was, like, a random, quick, I don't even remember where I saw it. Because I was, like, half believing it, but the more I sit on it, I'm like,
maybe.
Because I was totally convinced that they were lovers, that they were together, just the way Brennan talks about him.
Well,
because when I saw this, I was like,
I just remember when they were opening her dad's journals, and it was like the first love, and Mira mentioned that Brennan had fallen in love, like was a rider that was a few years older than him. I don't remember how old Naolin is, though. So, like, not sure.
I don't know,
like,
but that was just
something funky happening.
Yeah.
But, like, Brennan's rune is believed to be from being resurrected. So, in theory, Mira dying, these people siphoning power should have a mark on them. And they don't.
Yeah.
And they don't. Because Naolin is Venom. Naolin is not dead.
Is Naolin Berwyn?
I think Naolin could be Berwyn.
But then at the same time, right, that could play into the grandfather thing, though, is because, like, he could have been Venom for a long time, and, like, that he, like, when he did, like, save Brennan or whatever, like, he got deeper, like, I don't know. Like,
yeah. There's so many layers to it. But, like, there's something about, someone said, where is it? It was, I think, another Melissa from TikTok. Thank you, Melissa from TikTok. She mentioned that Brennan will die when Naolin dies because their lives are tied to each other through, like, this rune that he has on his palm. Because it's believed, if you believe that Naolin is a sage or is whatever the Venom level is, Violet's going to end up killing him, which would in turn very likely kill Brennan. But if Brennan's eyes are amber, Brennan is very sus to me.
Yeah, and I saw a comment that somebody said that Rebecca Yarrow said that Brennan is not sus. But I could not find the actual, like, quote from Rebecca.
Yeah.
So I don't know. If somebody has that, please send it my way because I'd be interested to see what she says about Brennan. But
I'm curious. I don't trust. There's something about him. But I also think he's withholding a significant amount of information. fact that his eyes are amber. I think that no matter what, he's obviously tied to Naelin in some sense. Like,
Well,
I
because
think that's going to come back.
Like, the rune is, like, similar to the one that the Venom used for, like, their wyvern, too.
So, like, someone also suggested that what if Naelin is, like, looking through Brennan and also manipulating and or controlling him through the rune?
That would be wild.
That would be insane. There's something crazy. Like, shit is going to hit the fan with Brennan.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to die. I don't know if he's going to betray. I don't know. If he does betray, I don't think it's because that was his plan all along. Like, I don't think that he would have, I don't think he would have done what he's done with Xaden, with Violet, with everything here, if his plan was to just betray them all, period.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that all of the Sorrengail siblings are a little sus in their own way.
Yeah, they need to just have, like, a powwow and let all their information out together.
Yes.
Or at least to me. Just tell me.
Just tell me. Let me know. But yeah, there's just so many theories. And we also have the brother at the end, the brother that turned Venom. There are a lot of, you know, rumors about Auric, Garrick, Sawyer. I know that it is the most obvious, but I do agree that it is Bodhi.
Yeah, because just the way that he is, like, been pushed aside and, like, hasn't gotten what he thinks he needs.
But also, Imogen saw him retching in the center and the little square area, and that I think could have been from when he was channeling from the earth.
Yeah.
I saw another video, I think it was, I don't know, Again, I've just watched like dozens and dozens and dozens of videos and forums and comment sections. But someone said, oh, I know where it was. It was on Instagram. I sent this to you. The problem is Hannah and I talk too much and I can't find anything.
I'm just reading something real quick.
This one. Magic is sourced from the ground and dragons use the same magic, right? Also, Violet was the only one that could communicate with their dragons. But because the 7th dragon breed do not obtain magic from the ground like the others do, the Irid channel magic from the sky, is the theory. And this is from Emily's Theories on Instagram. And she says, this is why Violet's lightning allows her to kill the Venom, because she has a bond with an Irid and access to the sky's power instead. Which is also why Andarna's flame uniquely kills Venom when other dragon flame does not, because it's sky power, not ground power. And then she says, this is also why the Venom want Violet so badly. It's not because of her signet, because she can access the power of the sky. So if they can not only siphon the power from the ground, but they can siphon the power and channel it from the sky. Oh, a Venom's wording here from the book. You could command the sky to surrender all its power. You know, you don't even know what to do with it. She goes on to say, Violet is overcome with a strange urge to pluck strands from the very sky and weave roots while she's riding Tarn. And that she can sense more power than usual. And Tarn says there's actually less power. And it's because Violet is sensing sky power, not ground power. She says that this is likely why the Irid left the other dragons on the continent, because the rest of Dragonkind, for whatever reason, chose to channel from the ground and instead of the sky. Now, the Fables of the Baron, this is so well thought out and so well put together. I know it's called Emily's Theory, so she does do this regularly, but like, I'm always just so impressed by like the amount of research people can do and like pulling things. Meanwhile, we're like, I think I remember on this rough area that this potentially happened, and then we're just like wrong. But the Fables of the Baron, it says, Dad gave this one to me, I murmur, pressing the book against my chest. Maybe it's childish, just a collection of stories that warn us against the lure of magic and even demonized dragons, but it's all I have left. And we know that the Fables of the Baron were not actually fables.
Yep.
But it also directly warns against wielding power from the ground instead of the skies. She says, although this doesn't mean the Empyrean dragons are evil per se, at least not all of them, it does mean that over time they have strayed from their origins and their true source of magic. And the Irid seem to believe as much. Their disdain for dragonkind on the continent is made very clear. But what if the dragons can return to wielding from the sky once more? And then it's talking about how there's the balance with magic and all that stuff. And everyone should go check out her page again, Emily's Theories on Instagram. I've seen quite a few of her theories because I think she does like if she's the one I'm thinking of. She also does like ACOTAR and like Sarah J. Maas stuff. But when I saw that, I was like, oh, yeah, that would make so much sense why Violet's still able to communicate well, why she's pulling things from the sky, why it's harder for her to like make the things that are connected to the ground. Yeah, I just thought that was very interesting.
I know, all the theories just, I mean, my theories are that Violet has a twin, so, you know, they're not very well researched. So I love people that actually take their time to research, because mine are just like, this is a fun theory.
Yes. There are like 2 more things that I definitely want to talk about. If there's anything else you want to talk about, we can throw it in here. But 2 things I want to talk about are just the Isles in general, but 2 scenes. One is we talked about Zional and the luck draw, but it felt very Ready or Not to me. And I love that. And I do think that like the rusty bucket and the compass and all of this stuff is definitely going to come back to play.
It has to.
It has to. Like, it's the god of luck. Like, it just has to.
Yeah.
So loved the Ready or Not vibes. The Isle that we have not talked about yet that we have to is where Xaden's mom is. I definitely thought we were going to see Xaden's mom. And as soon as they rolled up to the Isle, I was like, this is it. The entire poisoning sequence, I was, first of all, horrified for Garrett, because I was like, oh, he's going down.
I know. Poor guy.
He's going down.
Yeah.
And like, I love that Violet was the one who figured it out. Obviously, like Poison's master. We love her little orange violence. You know?
I mean, she finally learned her lesson when she just drank the random drink. Oh, this tastes funny.
That Nolan gave her. The mender, not Naolin.
Yeah.
Nolan.
So proud of her for doing that, but like
suppressed signets and stuff. But I'm like, oh my God. I don't think in any way, shape, or form Xaden's mom knew what was happening there.
Yeah.
However, Girly was stocked up on chocolate.
Yep.
She was stocked up on shit. She knew he was coming. She was not surprised to see him. She was surprised that her husband tried to kill her son. And all of his friends.
Yeah. But then she tried to convince Xaden to like enter like the marriage with Kat. Like, hey, no, this is what we planned for you. Like, it's not bad. Like, go do it and then you can come back.
3 years.
And he's
You'll
like,
be fine.
Produce an heir. I can do the same thing that you did to me. Like, no, thank you. No.
I just do not think. I don't think that's the last that we've seen of her. I think she's going to come back. I don't know in what capacity she's about to come back. But I do know she's about to come back. A couple of other quotes that I have here. When Xaden tells Violet, "You're the only one capable of killing me."
Define the shadow that's the darkest.
And the whole the ice metaphors and like everything that was about ice with Xaden. I think that like Violet is searching for a cure for the venom, but I think the cure lives within Violet. I think it's going to be something to do with her power, her wielding, her bonding in Irid, something.
One quote that I did highlight too that I think is interesting. It's from her dad, and it's like when he was like Asher Daxton, so like previous. But it's about like the parapet, and it's like there's times I look at the parapet at the very act of threshing and marvel that dragons have not been to, as it Unbriel? And it's like what we call treacherous is their idea of primary school. So just like that comparison too, that like there's no dragons there.
Yeah.
And they do crazier things.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just a lot of the Isle of Dune. Like, I just feel like there's so much there. Because, Dune is where she fights everybody, right? And like...
That was Umbriel.
Umbriel. Yeah.
I think that was, because that's
where... Which is the Isle of Dune.
Yes.
Umbriel, Isle of Dune.
I'm like, my brain is like a million. We have none of this written down. I love that we've done half of this from memory.
Well, I'm reading it right now from my quote.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. Because it's in like it's Umbriel, Isle of Dune by Second Lieutenant Asher Daxton.
Yes.
So just like about like that isle I thought was interesting. It's like, so of course they're going to be like crazy fighting because
yes,
that's their idea of primary school is just, all right, thrown into the fire.
Yeah. But okay. Also, also, I believe Violet channeled on these islands with her lightning. Like, I think she channeled.
She had to have.
Because there was lightning, and I know she's like,
there's not supposed to be magic.
No, it wasn't me. That bitch, who else does that? You do that, Violet. I will say, there was more spice than I expected in this book.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I was complaining. I thought it was like a good sprinkle throughout, and I thought it was good spice. I just thought that we would get very, very little of it, given Xaden's current predicament.
Yeah, his condition. And, like, it's interesting, too. When I searched Dune, like, Traeger notes that, like, in Navarre, like, the temples to Malak and Dune are disproportionately larger compared to the other gods.
Yes.
Except Amari.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, of course. And, like, Amari is, like, the god that their continent is named after.
Yes. Yeah, because it's... Okay. Yeah, I'm in the chapter, but yeah, she faces... It's either Marley in Umbriel, and she ended up being, like, their fucking queen.
Yeah.
And Violet wielded lightning. I thought at first she had channeled from the earth. Like, I thought she took from the ground without realizing it.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's someone, I saw someone say, like, oh, Xaden's going to start an uprising within the Venin. And I'm like, how many uprisings can one man hold? You know, how many rebellions can one child go through? There's just like, I feel like I could spend, and this is why people do deep dive podcasts on this series, because, you know, they cover 7, 8 chapters maybe.
Yeah.
And their episodes are like 2 hours long. Like, this is why. Because now we're like, oh, let me look up this. Oh, let me check.
Oh, yeah,
this.
we could keep going on and
keep going forever. But basically, these are some questions that I would like answers to heading into book 4. I don't think we're going to get all of the answers, but obviously we're going to find out who the other brother was. And I think that it's Bodhi for sure. If it's not Bodhi, I think the 4 that we have rounded out here, Garrick, Arik, or Sawyer, are the only other ones that would make sense.
Yep.
Berwyn is the other Dreamwalker that can teach Violet, like, how to utilize it.
Mm-hmm.
Information about the amber eyes, the amber flecks in Xaden's eyes, Brennan's amber eyes. Violet has amber flecks in her eyes. Her dad had amber eyes. I want more information about the Empyrean.
Yes,
I want
100%.
more information about whether they're good or evil. I don't necessarily think that we're going to have a split of good and evil in this book. I think that motivations and line of thinking will all make sense in some way for what they were craving, except, you know, the few people who are in power, that, you know what I mean? But I think that the dragons that we think are going to be evil will have their reasoning for it. I think that the Irids are going to have their reasoning, even if it's fucking stupid and we don't agree with it. I want to know, like, what they're hiding. I want to know if there are quote unquote good Venin, people like Xaden, who turned to save another loved one. They did it like in like a swift decision of like a flood of consciousness to, you know, handle what was in front of them without realizing the gravity of what they had done. I need to know more about this dedication ceremony.
Yep.
If she was, like, we know that she was partially dedicated to Dune.
Yeah.
What about Malak?
Yeah. And she says that she spent a lot of time growing up, like, in Amari's temple.
Yes.
And, like, but her mother wasn't very temple-minded or anything like that. But, like, when her father died, then she spent a lot of time in Malak's temple. So, like, definitely Violet is connected to the gods a lot more than we know.
Yep. Was her dad Venin? Is Violet Venin? Lilith, was she Venin? Because in the recovered correspondence, I think it was from Lilith or General Melgren or someone to Lilith in Iron Flame, if I'm remembering correctly. It was like, there is no cure, there is only control. But, like, who were they looking for a cure for? Were they looking for a cure for Brennan, perhaps?
Yeah.
Were they looking for a cure for Asher? Lilith? Were they looking for something in the future because Violet's path wasn't set? And there was that quote, too.
The quote from Jack saying that, like, you wouldn't know, like, who's a sage or a maven. Like, so how many people are hiding in plain sight being Venin? Like, yeah, you can tell their red eyes and their, like, the veins, but, like, is there a point that you can control that and use magic to?
Yeah. It's similar to I saw someone say in like in ACOTAR or another fantasy series where they can use glamours and like, you know, lesser magic shields to like present a certain way to people. But there was also this quote that was from, this was when they were talking about her dedication and when they tried to get her fully dedicated. And they basically said, she said that the heart beat for you or within you would do the wrong thing for the right reason, reach for unspeakable power, and turn dark, like we talked about. We all know that that was Xaden in Violet's path. But I think that there's another tie in the Soaring Gale bloodline. I think that her grandma that Mira went to go visit is going to come back into play.
Yep.
I don't know. Do you have any other questions that you want answers or anything that you're like thinking about?
No, the Empyrean is my biggest one, is I want to know more about their motivations.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I love that. I'm looking at my song lyrics to see if I wanted to talk about anything. Yeah, you guys just listen to Lose Control by Teddy Swims. Everyone knows the song. If you don't know the song, you're going to know the song now.
Yep.
That's Xaden's song of Onyx Storm.
Yeah, go listen to Rebecca Yaros's playlist. She has 2 Kendrick Lamar songs on there, and I didn't pick either one of those. But this song wasn't out when she released.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't
think it came out when she released the playlist. When she released the book, yes, but
yeah, that was my choice. Then we have Squabble Up by Kendrick Lamar. Those will be added to our playlists. Do you have anything else that you want to add before we wrap up our little yap sesh here?
I don't think so. Anything else I'm going to bring up, we're going to end up spending another hour on. So
for sure. Oh, I did want to know, what would you rate this book? Because you rated Fourth Wing 3 stars, Iron Flame 4 stars. I'm surprised. I'm still shocked that you rated Fourth Wing 3 stars. I'm not going to lie to you.
I'm still not. I think like the series has only gotten better for me.
Yeah.
I don't think like Fourth Wing itself. I liked Iron Flame. I liked Onyx Storm. Fourth Wing, I think I could take or leave, to be honest. So I'm keeping
so funny.
Fourth Wing. I think I would give this a 4.5.
Okay. So your favorite of the series so far?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I gave Fourth Wing 5 stars. This is my first adult fantasy. I did a re-listen and I was like, oh God, I'm going to hate this after reading like so much more fantasy. No, I fucking loved it. I had a blast. It gave me such a high. I just had fun with it. So Fourth Wing was 5 stars. I rated Iron Flame 4. I re-listened to it on graphic audio before this came out. And then I was like, oh no, Iron Flame is good. People just got in my head that it was like, they were only arguing the whole time. And like, yeah, they had the argument the whole time, but like, there was so much more that happened. So Iron Flame was also a 5 because I'm easy to please. Onyx Storm, I also gave a 5 too because I'm easy to please. But I think my ranking in the series is like Fourth Wing and Onyx Storm are like right here for me. Like, I think that a Fourth Wing just kind of edges it out just because of the like pull into the fantasy series for me.
That's fair, yeah.
But I think that the fantasy reader and the reader that I am now versus who I was when I read Fourth Wing, Onyx Storm is my favorite of the series.
Yeah.
So yeah. But thank you guys so much for listening to us ramble, yap, chat about Onyx Storm.
Yep. Please follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Patreon, YouTube. Be sure to rate and review the podcast. Let us know in the comments what dragon that you'd want to have.
Ooh.
Or what signet, whatever, either one. So leave us a comment on Spotify or go comment on any of our Instagram posts about this episode as well. Give us your book recommendations. We're always looking for more to read.
Absolutely. And we will see you on Wednesday, March 5th for our full book review episode of Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. That's our second to last episode of season 3. And we're going to see you on Wednesday, March 12th for our next Dear Reader Vault track, where we're going to do a St. Patrick's Day kind of theme that Hannah came up with, but we're doing Lucky to Be Alive. So thriller and horror book recs.
Cannot wait.
I'm so excited.
And remember, everyone, keep reading with kindness.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.